Our puppy, Freckles, followed on her gangly 4-month-old legs through the break into the hedge to Elsa's back porch. The tiny brown and white fluff ball that we'd adopted back in June had become my shadow, and it was unthinkable that I would make it the whole 20 yards to the neighbor's place without her company.
"Well, look at that little one,"
Elsa exclaimed as the dog bounded into the kitchen and planted herself right in front of the spot where a jar of treats sat on the countertop.
"I swear she's 3 sizes bigger every time I see her."
A guilty twinge reminded me that it had been over a week since my last visit. I really should be checking daily on Elsa. Nearly 90, still maintaining her lifestyle at home, she was a complete wonder. But still, things can happen, and I needed to be more diligent. When I was orphaned at 15, she took me in and raised me, through surely the most hellacious years of any teenager's life, until I was old enough to move back into the family home next door. As my surrogate grandmother, surely she would know the whole history behind this surprise aunt in England. She adjusted her glasses and took the letter, settling into a chair at her kitchen table. I raided the cookie jar for myself and the treat jar on behalf of Freckles.
"England? Well, isn't that something?"
"Elsa, this Aunt Louisa, who is she?"
"I'd guess she's your father's sister."
She looked up at me blankly.
"Well, the last name being Parker and all."
"You never heard anyone in my family mention her?"
"Well, honey, your folks moved in next door when Ron was a toddler. Paul came along very shortly, then you a few years later. I never knew much about their lives before that. Your mother was always busy with you kids, her gardening and the country club set, and your dad worked such long hours and all."
She rubbed a place at the back of her neck.
"Louisa, let me think."
I knew better than to rush the process. It was a little like watching grass grow. However, for all her years, Elsa does not have one single withered brain cell, so this wasn't a matter of her simply forgetting. She genuinely didn't know. I sank down into the chair across the table from her.
"She says she'll call. When she does, just ask her."
Well, that was just way too simple. I gave Elsa a hug and trekked back to our side of the hedge, putting the aunt out of my mind as I tried to decide what to make for dinner when Drake got home. Of the two of us, my wonderful hubby is actually the better cook, and I often defer to his expertise. While he takes fresh things from the fridge and chops, dices, and tosses them into a pan to come up with the most wonderful meals, I lean more toward opening a package of this and a can of that. I am quite adept with the buttons on the microwave. But in this instance, I'd put in a short day at the office of the private investigation firm I co-own with my brother, while Drake had been flying all day, scouting film locations with what had probably been a pain-in-the-something Hollywood movie producer. I couldn't very well ask him to make dinner on top of all that. So I leaned into the freezer and found one of those 15 minutes in a skillet dinners, then set to work making a salad to go with it. By the time he walked in the door, I had a good-sized batch of chicken, veggies, and pasta bubbling away in a yummy sauce. "Something sure smells good in here," he said, nuzzling my neck as he slipped his arms around me. Whether he was referring to the dinner or to my cologne, either was preferable to the ode to jet fuel that emanated from his flight suit. I suggested that I could keep the meal warm while he grabbed a quick shower. Luckily, he took the hint and emerged 10 minutes later from the bathroom in a considerably more desirable state. Although we will celebrate our 3rd anniversary in a little over a month, people tease us about acting like honeymooners. Catching a whiff of Drake's fresh, clean skin and seeing the way the ends of his damp hair curled around his ears. Well, I turned off the burner on the stove and undid the buttons on his shirt way faster than he'd buttoned them. The packaged meal was in great shape, congealed sauce over limp vegetables, when we emerged from the bedroom an hour later. I dumped the lumpy mess while Drake adeptly sliced some cheese and an apple, and we took the impromptu feast with 2 glasses of wine back to the bedroom, where we leaned against stacks of pillows and put a comedy movie in the DVD player. Freckles whimpered a little at the smell of the food, but soon gave up and went to her bed in the corner. I felt my eyelids grow heavy, and I guess I blinked out before the movie